Hey guys, welcome back to another Merlion Time Watch Reviews, and this is a special video. Today I am interviewing one of my longtime subscribers, almost from the very beginning inception of my channel. This person has been watching my videos, and we're going to be talking watches. We're going to be talking about his 5 favorite watches, or most worn watches in his collection. His name is Andrei, and he's from Bavaria. Oh, so cool. And he has commented on almost all of my videos and has been, as I said, watching me ever since the beginning. And we've become friends. And in this video, it's an exclusive because I don't think any other YouTube reviewer has actually had a conversation like this with one of their subscribers. And so pay attention to this timestamp below. If you want to just skip ahead to, the watches that we discuss, I'll leave a timestamp below because this is a rather lengthy conversation. Andrei is the smartest watch guy that I know. And we're going to be dealing with 5 brands. And I think you're going to find this conversation fascinating. The first part of the video, I'm just getting to know Andrei, well, making sure you get to know who he is, so to speak. You can skip that if you want and just go right to the watches again on the timestamp below. But I want to thank Andrei for talking to me and for his friendship over the last few years. We dialogued quite a bit back and forth on email, and it really was pure joy to get to talk to him face to face in this format. And so with that, enjoy this video and enjoy the watch talk.
Hey, Andrei, how are you?
Hey, Chris, what's up? It's awesome to finally talk to you in person after so much emailing back and forth.
And it kind of, now you sent me a picture of yourself not too long ago, just so I could put a face to the name.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're right, actually. Yes, I actually forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah. And so tell everybody where you live, like where you...
Oh, yeah. So right now I'm in my office, as you can probably tell from the whiteboard behind me. So I'm living in Bavaria, in a relatively small university city. I'm in the math department here, so I just decided to go to the office because the lighting here is a bit better than at my home for recording a video.
Yeah, and I'll have to apologize, as I mentioned to you just prior to us recording, in advance to everyone.
Yeah,
I have a
there's no universal.
Yeah.
There's no universal consensus. So I'm Romanian, so my name, Romanian people pronounce my name as Andrei.
Okay.
Andrei, but I've heard so many various pronunciations that I don't even care anymore. It's okay. So I think the natural way for someone in North America to pronounce my name would be Andrei, like you just did.
Andrei.
Yeah, but and by the way, this is the first name. Don't get me started on the last name. Now that's a problem.
Yeah, and I think I've said your last name, which is Karagia. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's better than most. I'll give you credit for that. But so again, in in Romania, the way people would pronounce it is Caragia. But I've heard various options. So the most disturbing memory I have of hearing my name in Germany for the first time was in my freshman year at uni. I remember this very vividly. I was in the physics lab, and the professor was doing a roll call right before we started.
Yeah,
and I hear some name, and no one does anything, right? So usually people would raise their hand and say like, yeah, I'm here.
It'd be really bad if you didn't even.
Yeah, I didn't register in my brain, so I was like, I just assumed it was some weird name of someone else, so I just didn't care, right?
Yeah.
And then after like 10 seconds of pause, I replayed the pronunciation in my brain, and I was like, oh, he probably means me. So yeah, that was pretty funny. But I've seen quite a lot of funny pronunciations of my name.
Yeah. And so you're a math professor, yeah?
No. So I got my PhD last summer-ish. No, last May, at the end of May last year.
Yeah.
So now I'm like a postdoc. So the fancy German name for this is Wissenschaftlicher Mitarbeiter, if I'm not butchering the name too badly. I don't really speak German very well. And this essentially literally translates to research coworker.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like a research assistant, I guess. I don't know because in the US system, you basically have like postdocs, which is what I am. And then you basically, the next step up is the 3 different tiers of professorship, like assistant, junior, and full professor, right? But those are further down the line.
Okay.
Hopefully further down the line. I mean, it's not guaranteed.
And you've been working toward this for how long? Like quite a.
So I'm old. So I finished. So I started uni in 2007. I don't know. So I didn't stay in academia full time. So after 4 years of uni, I basically went back home and worked for 3 or 4 years in a software company. And then I went back to uni and got my master's and then my PhD.
Awesome. And so everyone, just so you know, when he got his PhD, Andrei had got himself a special watch. I'm not going to say it just yet.
I think it was already visible, probably.
And maybe for that occasion. There's going to be some water coming down my pipe here, everybody. I do want to apologize in advance for some of the background noise that might happen. Here it goes. You can probably hear that trickle of water. I'm at my house. It's a full house. All my kids are here. My dog's here as well. And so, yeah, if there's some background noise, I apologize. But we're here to talk about Andrei's collection. I just wanted to say, Andrei, how enjoyable it has been to get to know you and to dialogue with you. I think I don't know, I've done just over 300 videos, I think, something like
really
that. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you've commented on like 95+% of them.
So first of all, let me say that likewise, this has been a really awesome experience from my side as well, talking to you and watching your content, which I've always appreciated. And I actually remember very specifically the first video I saw of you, the first video I saw from your channel. And this was the video when you were talking about the orange Seiko.
Yeah. So that was definitely one of my first.
That was the first video I saw on your channel. And I remember to this day watching the video and being like, this has got to be the most genuine expression of sheer joy that I've ever seen on someone about to watch.
Oh, thanks, man.
So
yeah.
You were so enthralled by it and like so in love with it, right? Yeah. I don't know. I just I wish I could be like that with more watches, but it's not easy.
Yeah, and I've received that. I don't know. I just love watches, and a watch that looks good, it just gets me every time, And my enthusiasm comes through, and you're not the first one to say that, so I do appreciate that. And yeah, since that, now that was like, I believe that video was called Seiko and a Faco, because I ended up getting a fake Seiko watch from Wish.
I'm not sure. Let me open up my YouTube channel real quick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only video I had featured that orange dial, and that was early on into the YouTube journey for me, because that was one of my first Seiko watches, actually, which was a Christmas gift from my wife, Patty.
Yeah, exactly. I think you were talking about it being bought by your wife.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, the story is I started, collecting watches. She didn't want to buy me a watch for Christmas, because I already had at that time like 5. I hardly had any watches, really. But she gave me gift card money from Amazon, which ended up buying the watch. So she didn't want to do it. She just enabled me to do it, which is just as good, in my opinion. Hey, why not?
So, yeah, definitely.
But since then, Andrei has commented on, pretty well every video that I've put out, with the exception of maybe a couple. And I have found you to be probably, of all the people that have commented on my videos, the most knowledgeable. I mean, you could play humble pie here, but you definitely have, a lot of watch collecting knowledge. And I've learned from your comments. I have, you've put me on to other watches. Some, can't buy. Some I would love to buy at some point in the future. And that's what we're here to talk about. So you've picked 6 watches to talk about that are in your collection. Now, are these 6 the most worn watches? Or are these?
Well, so you were, I'll be honest with you. So you started saying that you wore the Seiko for the last week, and this is the most you've ever spent with, and
for a while,
contiguously spent with a watch. And my brain was like, that's cute. So basically, after November 2022, more or less, I've worn the same watch except on like 3 or 4 days.
Okay. And
yeah,
I know,
so that's
I know what that one is.
Yeah, sure.
And once you get, I suppose if this kind of happened to me where I got a watch such as that, I would definitely want to be wearing it. But so we're going to end up giving the watch away a little bit here. I'm going to throw up the picture now of your 6 watches.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll hopefully put a timestamp in the video so that people can skip forward to the watch talk, because that's likely what they're going to do anyway. But
sure.
So here is, let me see if I do this right. I don't add it now. Okay, it was already added and I didn't realize. So here are Andrei's 6 watches, and we'll go from left to right. So you have a Zelos. That's a beautiful looking Zelos. I think that's a meteorite dial, correct?
Yep, it's this one.
Okay, and let me just put you back on there. Yeah, very nice. So,
maybe this is better in terms of lighting.
Yeah. Zelos, and then let's go back. How do I go back to the picture here?
I can just go through the watches.
Yeah, and then you have. Now, what is it OW1? Is that what it's called?
No. So that was just my naming convention for the pictures. So this is an Oleg and Vox. It's a very, very small. Trying to figure out some lighting possibilities.
Yeah, there you go. And I have pictures of it up close.
Which are much better than what I can do on the webcam. So this is a very small. Sort of mid 20th century Swiss brand. They mostly do tool watches, so like mostly diving watches and pilot watches.
Okay, so let's add this to the program here, and we'll talk about it for a minute. So this is, how do you pronounce that again?
Oleg and Vox.
Oleg and Vox, and here it is. This is a fantastic looking watch.
Yeah.
And so you obviously have it on 2 different straps there. And so is this a did you say it was a German watch or what?
No, it's from a small Swiss company. They used to be quite popular in the 50s and 60s, I think.
Okay. And they're still, are these, how old are these pieces? Are they?
This is like 2020. I think this model was launched in 2020 or 2021, and I think I bought it in 2022 or 2021.
Okay, yeah. And so what does it have, a Swiss automatic?
It's a SW200 inside, and the nice, slide rule bezel.
Okay.
And I really, really loved the colorway on this watch.
Yeah, the orange and the black, the white. Gosh, it's got what I call eye candy, which is eye candy for me is a watch that you like to look at and not really care if you're looking at it to tell the time. You're just looking at the watch, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so that's the Oleg, and say it again.
I might be butchering the name. So the way I always think about it is Oleg and Vachs, but I'm not sure. It's like WAJS, I think.
And
or WAJS? I think WAJS.
Okay. And are they still selling watches and whatnot?
Yep.
What is their kind of like entry level, or I say their most expensive and their cheapest watch?
I can show you the website. I'm not even sure. But I think most of their stuff, at least the three-handers, are in the around 1K range.
Okay. And that's is that US or?
Yeah, basically US Euro doesn't really matter too much.
Okay.
So I can share with you in chat. I can share with you the website of the.
Okay. Yeah.
Of the company. Yeah. So now they've added some chronographs which are more expensive.
Yeah, because they'll be all mechanical.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so the one that I have is the P104, the model.
Okay, cool. All right, and so here's a watch that in my journey to find a Breitling Navitimer Homage, you kept putting this brand up, and you got to try this, 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 and so you have one of these watches. I'm going to add the picture now. And I definitely know that they're really popular. My buddy watching, James, I believe, maybe recently got one. I can't recall, but this is the Sinn or Sinn. How do you pronounce that?
Zinn. So the S followed
or a Z.
Yeah, almost like a Z, right? So as far as I know, with my limited knowledge of German, an S followed by a vowel is sort of pronounced sort of like a muted Z.
Okay, so Zinn.
Yeah, and
it has a mother of pearl dial on it.
Yeah,
and it's some of the pictures that you sent. Now, I didn't really try with StreamYard. I don't know if you can actually share video, and if you can, I didn't figure that out prior to that, so we might not be able to get the mother of pearl effect because I've only got these couple of pictures. But when I was, talking about eye candy, when I was starting my watch collecting journey. Of course, I started with the chronograph because it's got subdials, it's got lots to look at. And if you had asked me, 3 years ago or whatever it was, when I kind of started collecting watches again, for the first time, like having more than one, I always used to just wear one watch. That was it. And it was always a Timex. And then I had an Apple Watch for a few years, Lord forgive me. But but if you had asked me 3 years ago, what do I think of this watch? I would have bland.
I understand, yeah.
Bland. But now I love the simplicity of a dial like this, whereas before I didn't appreciate it. So tell us about this one. What model is it? And
so this is the Sinn 556. This is basically the entry level watch in the Sinn catalog. Well, at least for men. They also have some quartz models for women, which are a bit more entry level. But this is essentially the entry level watch in the Sinn collection. And by the way, Sinn means purpose in German.
Oh, okay.
So they're quite famous for making aviation watches, and I think the company started in the 50s, probably.
Yeah, and this would this be considered? Would this one be considered an aviation watch?
No. So the point is that's the funny part with the 556 line. So the 556 line has different dial configurations. There is a very tooly, very how should I say this, instrument panel looking face and handset,
right?
Which is also gorgeous. And I think that's the A model, or the 556A, or the 556. Yeah, that should be the 556A model. And this is the slightly more, obviously more dressy or more just plain sports watch version of the 556. And I think excluding from what I'm wearing, this is by far the best watch, in my opinion, from all of the other watches that they have. This is by far my favorite, the Sinn.
Oh, okay.
By a large margin.
What makes it so?
It's subtle. It's absolutely rock solid in terms of construction. The dial is amazing. The anti-reflective coating on the dial is the most crazy anti-reflective coating I've ever seen. Basically, unless you have like dust or like some water droplets on the dial, in most situations you cannot actually see, and not on the dial, sorry, on the glass.
Yeah.
In most situations, it just looks like you're peering directly onto the dial. There's nothing in between.
Oh, okay.
And
that happens when they, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, when they add coating to the top and the underside.
Yes, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And this is, I don't know what to say about this watch. So the proportions, one thing, are amazing. I'm a pretty big guy, so I'm not exactly skinny, as you can probably tell, but I'm also like 2 meters tall, right? So I'm really not a small guy.
Yeah.
And I think your wrists are slightly larger than mine, but mine are like between 18.5 and 19 centimeters, more or less.
Okay.
And this is a 38.5 millimeter case.
Okay. Yeah.
And with a ridiculously short lug-to-lug, I think 44 or 45 millimeters, which is very small. Yep.
Let's just pop the picture back up again, because you wouldn't guess that looking at it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It to me, if I were to just look at this picture and guess, I would almost say that's a 40 or a 41 or maybe even a 42, just the way it looks on your wrist there.
Yeah, my wrist is very cylindrical, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's not, a lot of people have like quite wide wrists, but not too fluffy.
Yeah, you can,
if that makes sense.
It just sits perfectly on your wrist. You can kind of see on the picture on the right, perhaps
it's not that big.
The shorter lug, but on wrist, it wears. I would say it wears larger, at least to the eye here, than a 38.
Yeah, I think that might also be because of the bracelet. So this is the original bracelet for the watch. But if you put
20 millimeter at the lugs there?
Yes, yeah. 20. And if you put this on a normal strap, so like on a leather strap or something, this looks way smaller.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't know. The watch is, there's something about, I don't know how to describe this. So in some sense, this is the philosophy of Bauhaus, right? I mean, this has nothing to do with Bauhaus design, but the philosophy of Bauhaus is basically you should not, nothing should be there without a very precise reason, right?
Yeah.
So there's no embellishment, or there's nothing done just to be done on the watch, right?
Yeah.
Everything about it feels on the wrist and as you're wearing it as like a very coherent package, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love the simplicity of it. And also the movement inside is amazing. So this is, I'm not even sure. I think it's a SW200. So I bought this watch, I think in 2021, or maybe 2020. I don't remember exactly. This was like the third mechanical watch I bought. And that was precisely the time period where Sinn were moving from using ETAs to SW to Selitas. So I'm not 100% sure if this is an ETA or an SW. I think at some point I checked and it was an SW, but I'm not SW200, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But this is the top grade regulation of the movement. And the movement is running at +1 to +2 seconds per day.
Wow.
And has been doing that for 4 years.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. That really is amazing.
Yeah. This is, I would honestly say, sorry to interrupt, Chris, just one more thing I want to say about this.
Yeah, go for it.
I would honestly say that if anyone wants just one watch to wear, basically doing anything, wearing a suit, going diving, whatever you want. I mean, not diving, but in the water. sports activities, whatever, and you have a budget of around like 1,300, I think euros or dollars, depends on the store that you get it, I cannot recommend another watch over this, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, your enthusiasm for Sinn, just even in my comments, you were like, I hate to say this again, Chris, but
yeah, for the 903, I think
be something on my radar in the future too. And you mentioned that they had at one point, maybe, or I don't know what the update on this would be, but they ended up purchasing the rights to the Breitling Navitimer.
Not exactly the rights to the Navitimer itself. I think the rights to the design.
Yeah, the design.
Yeah, and they had until like 2 or 3, maybe 5 years ago or something. I don't remember exactly. They had a model which looked very, obviously looked very similar to the Navitimer, and this was the 903, I think. The model, and this was, it's basically a Valjoux 7750 movement, right? Which is what you had in the Breitlings before, like 5 or 10 years ago. And that's, I always, whenever I think of the Navitimer, I'm like, okay, there's a Navitimer, and then there's the Sinn 903, right? Those are the two things.
Those are the two, yeah. Yeah, and I saw now back when you recommended that to me, I believe the Navitimer was, I'm talking Canadian dollars, so forgive me, US
12K or something.
Yeah, well, it was at the time like $10,500 for the Breitling. They've gone up to like $11,500, $12,000 Canadian. The Sinn 903 that you were recommending was basically half that price.
Yep.
And yeah, fantastic looking watch too. So let's move on to this one. I'm really interested in this one. This is the vintage Citizen. So tell us about this one. I love white dials, and this looks fantastic.
Yeah. So there's a bit of a backstory behind this. So at some point, I started being very interested in vintage watches. And there is one specific vintage watch that I will definitely want to own at some point in my life. But I sort of bought this for 2 reasons. First, as an experiment on how it feels to wear a vintage watch and how sort of reliable they are, and how much do you have to baby them. And the other thing is, this is a very interesting movement inside this. So this is a watch from, I don't remember exactly, 64 or 65, I think.
Oh, that old. Okay.
Yeah. I bought it from Chrono 24 from like a French dealer. And the interesting thing about this movement, this is an automatic movement, but it has an unusual rotor design. So these were called, I think, the Jetomatics or something like this. And the point is, instead of having like a quarter of a circle sort of winding weight, right, for your automatic works, this essentially has like an annulus. So imagine that you have like a full back cover attached to the automatic works, and instead of having all of it rotate, you just essentially keep the outer edge. So this is like a ring, basically. The weight, the oscillating weight, is like a ring that rotates to charge it. And this is a very interesting watch from a lot of other aspects. So
I know you have it there. Just to interrupt you quickly, you have it there. Try and throw it up on the camera there.
So this is how it looks as the side profile, which is quite interesting.
1965. It's from 1965. 64,
I think.
Wow. I mean, it looks in incredible condition.
Oh man, why am I so bad at putting things in front of the camera? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, it is in pristine condition. But one of the interesting things about the movement in this is the way you quick set the date. So this is, I don't know how visible that is, but this is a date, right? With the Japanese.
I'll put the other picture up here again. Is there? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the date with the kanji date, right? The kanji day of the week indicator. But and that does not have a quick set. So that you just scroll through the 7 days of the week by hand.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this is the quick set mechanism on the date, which is done very similar to some vintage Omega movements, specifically I think the 500 line had this. And I think other lines of movements from 60s Omegas also had this. Namely, instead of having a discrete position for the crown where you just set the date, right? Like nowadays, where you pull to the first position, set the date, and the second position hacks and adjust the time. You would just the crown is on sort of a spring, so you would just pull on the crown until the spring pops, and the spring popping is what advances the date wheel by one position.
Oh,
so it's like a little click, right?
Oh.
So yep.
Interesting.
Yep. And the really cool thing about this is that this is very similar, or maybe I'm a bit hazy right now on the specific Omega movement, but this, I think, is the same mechanism on the 500 line quickset date movements. And my sort of grail watch in terms of a vintage watch is a 1968 or 69 Seamaster. I think the only old school Seamasters that were chronometer certified with the 564 movement inside.
Interesting. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I didn't know that I didn't know that any of the date complications did that, where you just pull.
Back in the day, this was normal.
Yeah, I had no idea. So I'm learning something. That's very cool.
In the 60s, I think this was the sort of the most popular implementation of a quick set for the date. Yeah.
Awesome. So the next one that we're going to look at, we've got 3 more to look at. We already mentioned the Zelos, but we'll talk more about it in a second. This is a watch that, interestingly enough, not maybe this particular watch, but the brand. I remember seeing a video Teddy Baldassare did, and he said that like if he saw someone with this on their wrist, he knew that they were a genuine watch collector. That was his opinion, of course, but what we are talking about is
Vostok. Oh, the Vostok,
yeah. Because they're so, I guess, I can't remember his reasonings why, but when I started my YouTube journey and just kind of watching other people's videos, these were wildly, like 3 years ago in particular, like Vostok, amphibias, and anything from Vostok was kind of wildly popular, and they're easy to mod. At least some of them are.
Yeah.
And I do have one Vostok. I think it's Scuba Dude, the 40200 or something like that. I can't remember if that's the exact model. And yeah, I think it's just very, very cool. So this is, what model of Vostok do you have here?
Oh, I actually don't know off the top of my head. This is sort of a limited edition to some degree. I think this commemorates the Yuri Gagarin's flight. So I think this is from. I think this was released maybe when there were for the 60th anniversary of Yuri Gagarin's flight.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm a bit hazy on the precise history, but I think the pod, the commander module, the pod that Gagarin was flying in, I think that was called the Vostok, or was it part of the rocket that was called the Vostok? I don't remember exactly. I think it was his pod that was called Vostok.
Okay.
The actual orbiter, right, of the of his flight. So I think they released this. There were like 2 or 3 such flights with Vostok pods, and I think this is a commemoration of those.
Yeah,
as far as I remember. So I don't remember the exact model name for this. I think it's like 71, and then some weird Actually,
is it an amphibia? Is that what they would? Or?
Yes, this is technically an amphibia, but give me 1 second because I can quickly find this out, the exact model.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and then when you get, after you've done that, show us, because you do have the watch with you, give us a close-up with the camera there.
So this is the 710 AN2.
Okay.
So the case is indeed a 710 case, which is sort of their like barrel shape or cushion shape, one of their barrel shape or cushion shape cases. Okay, maybe this is the correct way of.
Yeah, you're pretty good there. Yeah, that's in great condition too. How old is that watch?
No, this is brand new. So this is like brand new. I mean, this is from 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is not the only Vostok I have. But in my opinion, this is the most interesting because of the space theme. And I'm obviously a big space theme buff.
Yeah.
So, so this was a watch that I really liked. And I specifically liked the cushion cases that Vostok make. These watches are not, how should I put this? These watches are not very precise instruments, right? So they're not, I mean, like 20, 30 seconds a day variance is not uncommon. You can very easily regulate them on your own. That's not a problem. But these are not designed to be precision timepieces, right? They're like very utilitarian, very robust watches with some amazing technology in the water tightness department, and also in the crown stem. The famous wobbly crown, which in my opinion is an awesome thing. And I would say that the winding experience on these movements, the way you wind to power up the movement, is second only to my favorite watch.
Okay.
But honestly, this is the winding experience on this feels better than any like a Sellita I've ever felt.
Yeah, the Sellita. I know I've had a couple of watches, even in for review. I can't remember.
Probably some Christopher Ward's for sure.
Yeah, Christopher Ward's, and certainly they did this. The one that I had. Now we're talking about a review piece that how many people have handled, so you just don't know. And then I had one, I believe it had an Adda in it, which was the Canadian micro brand, which is now for what is Zenea.
Oh yeah.
So I found. So when I got my Christopher Ward, based on the experiences I had with those two, I believe the Zenea has the Adda. And then Christopher Ward, of course, Sellita-based movements. But yeah, I never found personally the winding movement to be enjoyable at all in either of those. And when they get wound enough over time, you can actually spin the rotor while you turn.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never had that, but I think that might be some defect. That should not happen.
Yeah, I think if you go on, I don't know if it's Caliber Corner or one of those movement type websites, there is actually, and I can't remember because I'm not really a movement geek, but there's something in the movement that wears, and it causes it.
That's in the keyless works. So there is, I think it's like one of the.
But it has to do with the crown stem in particular.
Yes.
And yeah, if it and the Zenea, it did this, and I was like, this doesn't sound or feel good at all. It felt very gritty and grindy. And when you turn the crown, you could actually hear the rotor spin.
That's weird.
Yeah. But it's common for the Sellita and Adda movement. So my Christopher Ward watch, for example, I only wind it until once that second hand starts to move. I don't wind the crown anymore because the from what I've read online, the least amount of crown turning time on those particular Swiss movements,
exactly,
the better. Yeah,
exactly. But to be fair, I've never really had problems with winding Sellita or Adda movements. Like you described with the funny rotor noise or something, but they're not designed to be pleasant in some way, if that makes sense. When you wind the watch up, right? It feels like you're almost a bit like scratching something lightly with sandpaper.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
And on the Vostok,
you can actually hear the clicks.
Yeah. The clicks are quite distinct.
Yeah.
Which is very unusual for an automatic movement, right? I mean, maybe you can expect this on a manual movement, but on an automatic, this is not very common.
Yeah.
And this is, I think Vostok, I mean, okay, right now, obviously, there are some political issues with Russia and stuff like this, which there's no point in discussing. But I don't really associate the country or the foreign policy of the country with the watch manufacturer. I would honestly say that this Vostoks are some watches which are, in some sense, too quirky and too unusual not to experience if you're interested in watches.
Yeah. And as far as a budget watch, for an automatic movement, oh my goodness.
If you're not picky and you're willing,
like, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, but I mean, some of the sort of like less well-designed cases. So, for instance, like the Komandyrski models from Vostok, I think you can pick them up for like $50.
Yeah.
Like the most of the really good and really well-designed cases of the Amphibia, you can buy for like 120.
Yeah. So here it is again. This is Andrei's Vostok, and they're just cool. I mean,
exactly.
Cool factor all day, every day. The next, and I do have to say, this is a brand. The next watch we're going to discuss that, I mean, is just doing incredible things. Probably in the last few years, they have really propelled themselves as far as status and desirability and quality, not quantity, but definitely.
So you're talking about Zelos, right?
Zelos, yeah. They just make phenomenal watches, and I do have to thank you once again. And we'll get to this. We'll get to this story here in a second because it's kind of wrapping up here soon with the last watch, but. They just make such amazing timepieces, and this one is obviously a meteorite dial that you have here. And so, tell us about this one. Now, obviously, in the pictures, it doesn't appear that you have them on the. I assume this one came with a bracelet, yeah?
Yes. Really bad, in my opinion, bracelet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not bad. How should I say this? Not badly made. Just I felt like it had nothing to do with the feel of the watch.
Okay. Now, is this a titanium one as well?
No.
Or is it just stainless steel? Okay.
No. This is, as far as I know, this is stainless steel. And this is quite old. Well, old. Again, this is from like 2021, I think.
Okay.
And there are some... so first of all, this is essentially the closest I can get to a dress watch, right? Because I'm really not the sort of person to wear a suit.
Right.
And I also don't feel like too dressy most of the time. So this is, in my opinion, the closest to a dress watch that you can get. But it's a very modern looking dress watch, right? With the blue indices, the blue hands, the shape of the indices in the hands. Very modern, in my opinion. And of course, the meteorite dial, which is just amazing, in my opinion. As I said, I'm a big space nerd. So anything, wearing a piece of a rock that fell on Earth like 4 billion years ago or something is quite insane.
Yeah.
But this watch is very interesting from a bunch of other reasons. So this is a very, very thin watch. I think this is under 9 millimeters thin.
Wow. Okay. And what are they using for the movement in that one?
And the reason for that...
Oops, wrong one there, Chris. There we go.
The reason for that is the movement inside.
Okay. So that's a mechanical self-wind then.
No, it's hand wound.
Sorry. Hand winding only. That's what I meant. Yeah.
This is the Etape SU 7001 movement. I think this is a somewhat old movement, probably from the 70s that this came out. SU 7001. But it's very popular. I mean,
show the thickness profile there.
Oh,
yeah, look at that. Very cool.
So, and this is a very thin strap that it's on. So I think the strap is like 2 millimeters thick.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, so this is a very standard hand-wound movement, very popular hand-wound movement, and I think the price that I got this for considering the movement and the dial and the execution of the watch was really good. I think this was around 850 euros or something.
Yeah, I was going to say 899, 849 back in 2021, as you say. That's what some of the watches are going for with like a medium weight dial or a specialty watch like that. And then like their Swordfish or some of those ones were going for $499 that probably had a Seiko movement.
Exactly.
Yeah, they've really propelled themselves. A friend of mine just got the new...
the one with the fancy rotor things on the dial?
I mean, they're coming out with new ones fairly quickly now. Black tip, and I think black tip. Now, he wanted to get, maybe one of the blue variant dials on it or Mother Pearl or whatever.
But he didn't click in the first 3 minutes?
He didn't click fast enough. And you know what? I got to say this though, and that's one of my criticisms of Zelos. And I get, what do they care? They're selling the watches, but they'd sell a heck of a lot more if they made more. And I know the exclusivity, the limited edition factor in it is something to be desired too. But from a business standpoint, I'm thinking like, guys, like, instead of making 500 pieces, make 1,000, and make it a little more available so that people who, save up their money, because you can imagine my friend, or let's say me, okay, for example, as a Canadian, I have to save quite a bit more money to buy a watch from Zelos or any other brand in the States. And so, if I'm putting money away, and I probably need for a good Zelos at least 1,000 Canadian dollars. And if I go on there and I can't get the one that I want because I'm not quick enough, me off, And so my buddy, he wasn't unhappy. He got a kind of like the almost fume orange and black dial.
That's great on the tip, I think, as well.
Which is really nice. But that's not the one he wanted. He's happy with it, but it's not the one he wanted. So that's just kind of my rant and beef with Zelos. I understand the other reasons why they wouldn't make them.
I will say one more thing about Zelos, because I've interacted with the owner a couple of times. One of the things that I really appreciate about Zelos more than anything else, apart from the fact that they design cool watches that are reasonably priced for what they have inside, is their customer service. So their customer service is impeccable. I've actually had a problem with this is not the original watch actually that I bought. So I bought one of them, I got it, I absolutely loved it, but I noticed that the power reserve on it was very short, like around 18 hours.
Instead of double that, or
instead of I think this is rated to 44 or something.
Yeah.
And I contacted the support center for Zelos, and the guy literally told me to describe the issue. And as soon as I did, he immediately sent a new model to me before asking me to send the old model back.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which I found to be insane.
Yeah.
Right? Because this was like €1,000 watch, basically, sold with taxes and customs and stuff, because I think they're from Singapore or Hong Kong. I don't remember exactly. And the guy, without any shipping costs, so he paid the shipping costs for the second issue of the watch. And I was a first-time customer, so he never interacted with me before. He just immediately said, yeah, I understand, no problem. I'm sending you the watch now. When you get the watch, please send the old watch back.
Yeah.
That was the interaction, which I found to be amazing.
That is amazing, yeah.
And I think
they didn't want any. Well, with an issue with power reserve, there wouldn't be any way of doing a like video evidence or whatever. Because sometimes
exactly,
they send a video of the issue, whether it's a skipping seconds hand or something's.
I think
they'll want a video evidence of it, but you couldn't do that for power reserve. So that is incredible that he just,
exactly. And I think one of the reasons beyond the scarcity aspect of their products, I think one of the reasons why Zelos likes to keep, or at least this is how I like to think about it, at least, that they keep their production cycles or production runs relatively limited and in very discrete batches, specifically to be able to interact with their customers.
Yeah.
So I'm not a Facebook guy, I'm not a social network guy or anything like that. But as far as I know, Zelos is like a very, very dedicated base of like a very dedicated fan page or like Facebook page or something.
I haven't seen it myself, but I'm sure like they're wildly popular.
No, but that's not the point. The point is that the owner of the brand talks to the customers like every week and asks for feedback on the next models and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense if you're that close to your community to make things in very limited batches. I think it makes some sense. Of course, it sucks for people that don't get to buy the watch they want when they want to. I understand that. But you can't have your cake and eat it, as they say.
Yeah. And you can't deny they're doing good things. And, obviously the customer service and the way he's interacting with his customer base is one of the, aside from the damn good watches.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're just, so speaking of, but here's the wrap up watch. We're saving the best for last, obviously. So the story goes, for those of you that don't know, Andrei had purchased the Aurora titanium field watch from Zelos, mother of pearl dial. And so he sends me a picture of it in the email. And I'm like, I can't remember what I replied to you. I might have called you a glorious bastard. And
yeah, maybe. Sounds about right.
But I was like, oh my gosh, that thing is absolutely gorgeous. And it is. I mean, it's just phenomenally beautiful. I should have brought it for the video. In fact, I'm going to go get it. And I'll just do a quick edit and then it'll.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go get it. Yeah. All right, I'll have to sit down without knocking stuff over. All right.
Great success.
Here we go. Okay, so here's the watch, guys. And, I maybe edit a close-up of it. But, yeah, right there you can see it. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Stained glass window, I call it. I mean, it's just phenomenal and built like a tank. Titanium bracelet and watch case. So Andrei got this watch and he's like, Chris, you're going to like what I got. And I said, yeah, I do, you glorious bastard. That's fantastic, wonderful watch. And he sent different pictures of it. And then fast forward, 2
months, I think.
2 months later. Okay. It was that quick.
Maybe 3.
Yeah, it was sometime later anyways. It wasn't a long period of time. That's for sure. Andrei lets me know that he got his Grail watch and so sends me some pictures of it. And then not long after that, he said, you know what? And so you just mentioned back several minutes ago that this watch that we're going to talk about has been worn on your wrist for since you got it pretty well, with the exception of a handful of days, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so because of that, and rightly so, getting this watch, you definitely would want to wear it more than any other watch. Andrei was so kind because he knew how much I love this watch. Now I'm having the same problem you are, Andrei. Here it is again.
It's contagious.
Yeah, he knew how much I love this watch, and I do. And so Andrei said, I want to send it to you as a gift. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that just floored me. The generosity was, I mean, absolutely amazing, because for me to purchase a watch, just a quick aside, I think this was what, $5.99, something like that.
Probably $5 something for sure.
Yeah, $5.49, $5.99. But for me, you got to add 30% because of the Canadian currency difference between US and Canadian dollar, and then the shipping, and then I get dinged the US amount for taxes coming into Ontario, Canada, where I live. So they take the Canadian amount of $5.99, which would be somewhere up close to 700 Canadian dollars, and then they charge, me 13% harmonized sales tax on the $700.
Wow, but that's really bad.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I don't. So I in my last video, I featured 2 micro brands that I think are very cool. I'm happy to announce that the Seaborn watch, the Surfer, is going to be sent to me mid-May. The owner's going to send me one. The Imperial watch, I talked to the owner, and I really, really, really love that fuchsia and whatever other colors on it. I just eye candy. I just love it. But I said to the owner, look, he said, I'll save one for you. And I said, I just can't do it right now. I said, you see, he's only asking $4.99 US, but I said $4.99 turns into like 600 and something, and then you add your shipping costs, and then you add what I'll get charged at the border, and your $4.99 watch is gonna. I think when I figured it all out after
like 800 or something, 700,
like over $750 for a watch for the Seiko NH34 movement. I mean, you got to really want to watch if you're Canadian, too. But anyways, I digress. That's why I haven't bought a Zelos, because, I got to add 30%, and but Andrei sent this because why? Because he got this.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did a collage for the picture you sent me. So Andrei got himself an Omega Speedmaster.
Yeah, this
is absolutely beautiful. And did you got the one, yes or no, with the display case back, or no?
Yes, I did.
Is it a sapphire sandwich? Is it a,
yes?
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
Actually, I specifically put it on a strap that I can remove the has quick release so that you can see.
Oh yeah, isn't that phenomenal?
Yeah, this is so there was obviously the choice of being the purist, which goes for the solid case back and the Hasselite crystal. But I was like, okay, I'm into historical accuracy, but not that much.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this was
you gifted this to yourself when you got your PhD.
Yes.
Congratulations on that.
Well, technically, that's what I was supposed to do, but I jumped the gun by like 6 months because I couldn't wait anymore.
Nevertheless, that's still good. And so, where did you buy this from? Did you
online?
Okay. And was it brand new? Tell us the story. Tell us a story about how you bought it, where you bought it.
So the story of how I bought it is actually hilarious, because I had to do. I'm not a rich guy, right? I mean, research isn't very well paid anywhere, right? So there was a lot of saving and stuff involved. And then when I finally, I took the decision to actually buy the watch as soon as I was done basically writing my thesis. Right, the defense of the thesis was like 5 months afterwards or something, but I was like, okay, I don't care, I'm not waiting anymore.
Right.
And I needed to talk to the bank because they have like limits to how much money you can spend in one transaction online, right? So I had to talk to the bank to get a special exception,
Yeah.
And then I was freaking out because it was like a lot of money. So I talked to one of the nice secretaries in our institute, and I asked her to babysit me while I was clicking and ordering on the German website. So she was very kind, Caroline. She was very kind to sit with me for this. She didn't show how should I put this, what was going on in her brain, like some crazy dude spending a lot of money online on the watch. She was very, very nice about
that,
it.
just to make sure you didn't like misclick something.
Yeah. And also there are some. So because I bought it from the German website, there are like some weird things. How should I say this? Because I was having I needed to buy it in a specific way from the bank, right? Because of the transaction amount. So I asked her to double check that I'm not doing anything stupid, right?
Yeah.
And everything went through okay. And I got it like 2 or 3 days afterwards. I don't remember. I took the day off of work just to stay home and be sure that I can open the door.
No
right?
kidding. Like, so let's just, because I know it costs more than this, but like $5,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, with everything that you hear about on,
Yeah, but they insure it.
And, or whatever, right? Like I have a friend of mine who, that I work with, and every now and then she would have to go home at lunch or at just after lunch or mid-afternoon because she had a package that was coming. And even though she had given instructions multiple times, please open the door, like the little vestibule, put it inside there. Don't leave it on the steps. Don't leave it on the porch. Inevitably, they always left it on the steps. And she lives in a particular area in the city where I work that if it's on there for long, it can get stolen.
Yeah.
And
fortunately, this part of I was living in a much smaller city in 2022, and that was a very quiet place. So even you could leave something in the middle of the road for like 3 days and no one would touch it.
Yeah.
But of course, I didn't want to risk anything, right? But also the thing with Omega is if you buy something on their online store, they have insurance for it. So if something happens, so basically they cover everything that happens to the watch up to the point where you sign for it. And you can only deliver it by signature with your ID and everything. Right?
Yeah.
So up to the point where you sign for receiving the package, it falls under their insurance.
Right.
So it's pretty safe from that point of view.
Yes. That's good. And so why, now you're a self-confessed space nut, I guess we could call it. So obviously there's that factor in purchasing the Omega, but beyond that, why that over Rolex or over, another major Swiss brand?
Well, there's a couple of things. There are very few Rolexes that I actually like. I think the only exception is the Explorer 1. I have a thing for very sort of utilitarian, military-inspired designs, right? So the only Rolex I really, really like is the Explorer 1, and maybe some models of the Oyster Perpetual. But I don't know. The Omega, the Speedmaster has always been, for I don't know how long it has always been ingrained in my mind as like some really cool watch that I want to have one day, right? And beyond the story behind it, which is obviously amazing, right? With the Apollo 11 and then Apollo 13 with the Snoopy edition and all this stuff. The thing I like most about it is the monochromatic, very purpose design. Yeah. There's nothing extra on it. There's just like I was saying about the Sinn, right? There's nothing there just for fluff.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it, which I find to be truly amazing, is that in my opinion, the Speedmaster is the most versatile watch in terms of straps that you can put on it.
Okay. Yeah. And that was good timing. Just as you're saying, I put up a multiple of straps that you you have for it, and you have your strap bag there as well. You were mentioning before we started filming. How many straps do you have, like for your watches?
Oh, in total, maybe 50, 60. I don't know. Specifically for the Speedmaster, maybe like 30.
30 just for the Speedy.
Yes. Yeah. So the point is, I like to think of it like this. After I bought the Speedmaster, I essentially stopped collecting watches.
Yeah.
And I started collecting straps for the Speedmaster.
Yeah. And that's I often kind of, and I mean, you're in a place where you're wearing the watch that you've always wanted and loved. And I've vacillated back and forth in my mind about, okay, if I get a Breitling Navitimer, what do I do with the rest of my watches, which I do enjoy and I do like.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
Seriously, that is a problem.
Yeah. But the other problem that I have now in your line of work, my former line of work, which I still do a little bit of preaching and ministry. Obviously, I'm not, tough on a watch doing that, right? As a custodian, I'm moving furniture, chairs.
That's a bit tougher.
Fixing machinery. And so, and now that's my full-time job, at least for the time being. And I just wouldn't wear a $10,000.
No, of course not. When you're moving furniture, that would be insane.
So for me, as a practical, my practical brain is going, if I buy this watch, which I don't have the money for anyway, and can't foresee ever having $10,000 in disposable income for a watch, even if I saved money, there's always something that comes up. Yeah. But anyway, I digress. But in my current role as a custodian, I wouldn't wear it.
No, to work, I would not. I actually wore I have zero babying instincts towards my watches.
Yeah.
Okay, zero. So I've worn the Speedmaster while moving furniture for something there's like a little exhibit going on downstairs in our building. And we needed to move some stuff around. And I was just like, okay, I'll do it. Right. Yeah, of course, you sort of in the back of your mind, you have like this impending doom sensation, and you tend to be a bit more careful with your hand movement when you're doing this. But in my everyday activities, obviously, I don't have to do a lot of physical stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I was doing physical work in any sense, I would not wear this. If I was doing that regularly, not just once in a blue moon, I would not be wearing. I would just basically be wearing the G-Shock to work.
Yeah, and that's what I found even with my Christopher Ward, which I'm going to do a video on soon. I did wear it to work, and I got like really nice scratches on the face.
Oh, Chris, you don't know how messed up the lugs on my Speedmaster are.
Yeah.
On the inside, where I change the straps every like 3 days.
That's normal.
Yeah.
But like I'm talking on the side of the case and the beautiful, the light catcher case that they call it. I'm just like, why did
that's fine.
And it's only $1,000. If it was $10,000, it would just absolutely make me sick to my stomach. And Peter Costa did a video. Where he was out with dinner for friends, and I don't know if it was an Omega Aquaterra or I can't remember the watch. Omega Aquaterra kind of seems to sound.
I think he at some point had like a Planet Master.
Maybe, it could have been that. It wasn't a Speedmaster, but anyway, someone had complimented on his watch, and he took
the Planet Ocean, not Planet Master.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, here you go," and he took it around, and everyone, like 6 people handled the watch, and then when he got it back, it had a nasty scratch on it somehow. Maybe from
I think you're thinking about Gary.
No, it was Peter Costa.
Because Gary had a similar story with the Grand Seiko.
Oh, okay. No, this was Peter Costa with, I believe, his Omega, and he ended up sending it back to get refinished.
Yeah, sure.
But he's like, to me, that's why it's one of the reasons why I'm not overly concerned about buying inexpensive piece, just for the sake of having
exactly
or whatever, because I know just the way that I wear watches currently, and even my Christopher Ward, I'm not wearing it nearly enough now. And I'm like, I could have bought 5 watches for $200, or 6 watches for $1,200. Actually, it cost me about $1,200 for that Christopher Ward. That's Canadian.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. Actually,
for a watch that I don't essentially wear too often now. So, and if I do wear it, I'm going to take it off the stainless steel bracelet and put a whatever, just so I don't scratch up the bracelet on it. But anyway, that's, yeah.
I would say, obviously, people have different. What money is worth is different to different people, right?
Yeah.
There are people that are very well off, and for them buying like a $10,000 watch is not something that you think about for 5 years before you do, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe think about it for 10 years and never actually are able to do it. But what I would say is the only reason that I love the Speedmaster so much is because I lived specifically the Speedmaster before I had it.
Yeah.
I don't really understand. So if you're, of course, there are some people that just want to flex, right? I have money, so I buy like a iced out Rolex or whatever, like a solid gold president, right? And then everyone that sees me on the street knows that I have money.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's what you're going for, cool. But in terms of enjoying a watch, I really don't think it's worth investing ridiculous amounts of money unless you very specifically want that very specific watch.
Yeah.
Because after buying the Speedmaster, right, I've been thinking very seriously, if I want to add another watch to my collection, what do I want to add, right?
Yeah.
And based on the sort of the expectations level that I have set in my brain after getting the Speedmaster, I'm not really looking at very budget watches anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So if I want to add another watch, it would probably be something like an Explorer 1, or maybe like a Spring Drive Grand Seiko, or maybe like a Jaeger-LeCoultre, a very simple Jaeger-LeCoultre or something like that. If I ever get in the position where I spend another 5 years putting money in my piggy bank to make a big purchase. But I will be very honest. I find it very difficult to get motivated to spend years saving up and thinking about a very specific watch, because I don't have a very specific watch that draws my attention the same way that the Speedmaster did.
Yeah.
And this is the point that I'm making. If you just want a very solid watch, and there isn't like this very specific model that drives you insane day after day, and you only think about that,
yeah,
there's really no point in spending like stupid amounts of money on a watch.
Yeah.
Right. So in a different life where I didn't have to think about the Speedmaster, I would have been perfectly happy wearing this watch until I got old.
Yeah.
Right. And this is not a cheap watch, but this is a watch that I think basically it's Christopher Ward money, right? So it's money. So it's something that a lot of people can afford after saving for a few months, let's say.
Yeah. And I can honestly say that, I've seen Rolexes in person.
Oh, God, yes.
They're to me, they don't excite me.
Yeah.
But the Breitling Navitimer, every time I see it, I'm like, oh.
Have you ever seen it in person?
Not in person, no. And it's kind of because I've always loved watches, right? Always.
Mm-hmm.
So the other any Breitling chronograph just gets me going, and kind of the way it started was actually kind of benign. I watched Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld. It's my favorite show.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry Seinfeld's and I've always noticed, and aside from watching the show, I'm like, that is a hell of a watch Jerry's got on. I wonder what that is.
Wait, Jerry were Breitling. I don't remember.
He's Breitling, yeah.
Mm.
He's exclusively Breitling. That's all he wears. Yeah. So he didn't have a Navitimer on. Maybe it was a Chronomat, or I'm not sure the exact model he wore, but that's one of the things of the show that I'm like, I love that watch. So when I started like watch collecting and doing YouTube 3 years ago, I just looked it up. What watch does Jerry Seidel during his series? And they said Breitling. And of course, he might have had a Navitimer on a few times. I don't remember, but I just kind of went to Breitling and went, oh, there's the Navitimer. Oh, absolutely, just love it. And that I would feel the same way you do about your Speedy if I was able ever to purchase the Navitimer. Yeah, it would be on my wrist for sure, because I just absolutely love it. In fact, the watch that I'm going to wear all this week is my Chase Durr Navitimer. I can't, I'm going to, after having this one.
I'll tell you what, Chris. I think you're a bit. How should I put this? Overvaluing your sense of restraint, because I'm pretty sure if you got a Navitimer, you'd still wear it to work.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like when you start to spend that much money on a watch, you know, why spend that much if you're not going to enjoy it and wear it?
Yeah, exactly.
But if I was doing any kind of maintenance on a machine or whatever, even now, I'll take
take it off.
I'll just take it off and put it in my pocket and get machines and whatever. And so, yeah, but congratulations on that, because that is, and you've got 30 strap. What's your favorite strap other than the stainless steel bracelet?
Right. That's a long going and ongoing investigation.
Yeah. So here's some straps. So you sent me, I don't know how many pictures. I couldn't put them all on the little PowerPoint thing that I just did, but obviously the top left is the stainless steel.
Stainless steel, yes.
That's the other thing about this particular watch. You can throw with the black and white.
That's what I was saying. Yes, this is
anything at it, and it's going to look awesome.
This is the most, in my opinion, this is the most versatile watch in terms of strap changes.
Yeah.
And not just style of strap, but also colors and everything. Basically, anything looks good. I've not yet been able to find a strap that when I put it on the Speedmaster, I thought like, this looks like shit. I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's very hard to say. So the bracelet is amazing. It's truly an amazing bracelet on the Speedmaster. So this is maybe this is important for viewers. So I bought the Speedmaster in October or November. I don't remember exactly, of 2022. So this is the post-update model, the 3861 movement model. And this is also after, I think in 2021, they launched the 3861 movement. But initially in 2021, this came on the old bracelet. I think in 2022, they switched it up to the new bracelet, which they still have now. And this new bracelet is truly a masterpiece, in my opinion. So this is by far the coolest bracelet I've ever seen on the watch, and it feels amazing. So obviously, I would say in a lot of ways, the default choice for wearing the Speedmaster is this bracelet.
Yeah.
In terms of other straps, I think there are two which I liked over anything else. So the one is the one that I'm wearing right now. So this is a Deluxe rubber strap. This is the only rubber strap I've ever really enjoyed. But this is a really good strap, I think. It's not very cheap, but I think it's really good quality. And the closing mechanism on
about that not terribly long ago about checking them out.
Yeah, because I think this is and this is a very versatile strap. So you can wear this on a lot of different watches as well, because it doesn't have any of the usual how should I say this texture of rubber straps, right? So a lot of rubber straps have like a waffle pattern or like a chocolate bar pattern or tropic pattern or whatever. This is just matte.
Yeah.
So this looks this almost looks dressy, the strap, which is very uncommon for a rubber strap. And I would say the other one, which I'm a bit torn on, because I can totally wear this watch on the strap and it feels amazing. The issue is that the keepers on the strap are a bit bulky.
Okay.
So I have no issue wearing it on the strap for like 3-4 days. And then I start feeling the metal bits a bit on my skin, and then I just change the strap. But for very military-oriented watches, these straps are amazing. So this is, I'm not sure how to... This is a very unusual closing mechanism. Where is the thing? Yeah. So this
okay.
Yeah. And they're from a British company called Hawkrigger.
Oh yeah, okay, I've heard of them. Yeah,
yeah. I would totally say, if you have like a diving Seiko or like a very military watch, especially a big military watch, these things are amazing. The quality, so the quality of the nylon on this is really, really good. It's not flimsy like a lot of NATO straps are, right? So a lot of NATO straps, the structure of the strap itself is not very rigid, so it becomes very what's the word I'm looking for? Very floppy. Right?
Yeah.
But this is the internal structure of the strap is very rigid in some sense. So it doesn't bend easily or something. But despite that, it's not uncomfortable at all on the wrist.
Yeah,
which I find to be really amazing. So these are probably the two straps that I've spent, that the Speedmaster has spent the most time on, apart from the bracelet.
Nice.
I'm not a big fan of leather straps. I have a few leather straps which are very nice.
I don't like leather at all. Stainless steel is my first choice.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I would have to say like an FKM vulcanized leather strap. Would be my next choice. I've never really found... I don't mind NATO straps, but I've never really found one that I actually... to me, it kind of looks awkward, especially when you got the loop that you...
Yeah.
To me, I look down and, I love eye candy, as I said, and I like to look at my watch and enjoy my watch. And for some reason, that stupid little bulge on the NATO strap that you often get, unless you happen to have one short enough where you don't have to bundle it at the end, it just bugs me. It just like it's the first thing I look at and so I've never really found a NATO. So I don't mind leather straps per se. But if I could swap it out for a stainless steel, the problem with stainless steel, if you buy, like my pal watching James did a great video on save money by buying a watch with I don't know if you saw this video.
With a strap, with a stainless steel bracelet, right?
Yeah, he said, buy it with a strap, and then you go to this website. I can't remember the website either. Shame on me. But they sell OEM bracelets for a variety of watches, and they're not really that expensive. I'll leave a subtitle in this video for that.
Was it Uncle Straps or Strap Code?
No, it was something totally different. He lives in Australia, so I'm sure it was probably...
then I haven't seen that video of his.
Okay, yeah. I can't remember, but he's bought himself some watches and they have all kinds of brands on this particular website, like almost every brand you can think of. They sell OEM stainless steel bracelets for, that are compatible, not like the...
Yeah, exactly.
And they're relatively
affordable.
Mm-hmm. So instead of spending an extra $200 to $300 on a stainless steel model,
or a lot more on some others,
you get it. Yeah, you get it on whatever strap that they offer, and buy the stainless steel strap for under $100 from where James got them. And and I'd have to check that website out and maybe
wait.
Because straps.
Was it by any chance Forstner?
I honestly can't remember. Maybe, but
so the thing is, I should mention something else as well. If I'm sorry, am I interrupting you?
Go. Yeah, go.
So there's two more straps that I would like to talk a bit about, and one of them is exactly Forstner, which is one of the coolest providers of metal bands, in my opinion, which are not OEM bands, right? So this is I usually don't like mesh bracelets.
Oh, I love mesh bracelets, yeah.
But this is one of the coolest mesh bracelets I've ever seen. And this is from Forstner bands. It's not a cheap band either. But this is, and the reason I bought it is because this was standard. This is recreation of the standard NASA issued mesh bracelets, which were used during the, I think, Mercury program.
Okay.
So there were early versions of the Speedmaster actually worn on precisely these straps.
Yeah. And
Forstner used to make them.
Where are they based out of, the Forstner, or whatever you call it, company?
Might be USA. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll leave a subtitle for whatever James, if I remember to even do that after I go back and get this video. But yeah. So that's the mesh one. What was the other one that you wanted?
Oh, yeah. And the other one, which I also have here, is from a very obscure site. I mean, I did some digging before I found them, but I don't know if these are known to the watch community at large or not. But these are Velcro straps, so NASA-style Velcro straps. But the funny thing about these is that, so these are from a website called Luna Replicas.
Ah, okay.
And these are people that are actually constructing replicas based on official NASA documentation. So this is a one-to-one copy of the short version of the Velcro straps that were actually issued during the Apollo program. The sort of typical one is the one that's very long. So they have a very long model of this.
Yeah, it goes around the suit.
It goes twice around the hand, basically, or around the suit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I think those were the officially issued ones to NASA.
Yeah.
And of course, this is the practical version, right, that you can actually wear.
Yeah.
Instead of wrapping your hand in it. But,
yeah, I remember you not too long ago sending me an email about that as well. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So these are all. So obviously, I'm not affiliated with any of these companies or sponsored in any way. These are just sort of the straps that I've enjoyed the most for my Speedmaster. Not only, I've also worn this. So I've worn this quite a lot on the Zelos because I think it matches quite nicely the style of the Zelos. The deluxe the rubber strap, I've worn it a bit on my Sinn as well. So. Yeah, I would say that these are probably my favorite straps out of what I have so far. Nice.
And I'll definitely check out because, like I said, aside from stainless steel, rubber is my next favorite.
Yeah, so Deluxe, in my opinion, makes some of the best, at least as far as I've experienced, the best rubber straps that I've seen.
Yeah, I'll definitely check them out. So this has been awesome, Andrei. We've been talking, it says up here, for almost an hour and a half.
Almost an hour and a half, I think, yes. How time flies, right?
You know what? It's been an absolute delight because, as I said, you've been with me in this watch collecting journey pretty well from the very beginning. And to get an opportunity to talk to you about your watches and just talk to you has been awesome.
Yeah, we should do this. We should do this again. Maybe not for a video or something, but we should maybe chat every now and again, 100%. Face to face.
I'm glad you said that because I would love to. It's been really good. And so you are 6 hours ahead of me? So it's PM your time now.
It's a bit after 6 p.m.
Yeah, a bit afternoon in my time. Yeah, but thank you so much for coming on and discussing these watches. And yeah, your Speedy is absolutely, just congratulations again on that, because
thanks.
For me it would be the Breitling, for you it's the Speedy, and yeah, it's amazing that you had the opportunity to be able to get that.
The opportunity and let's say how to put this, the financial lack of regard to actually pull the trigger and get it right, because I think that's also important to point out.
Yeah.
But of course, if you have a family and kids and stuff like this, then it's things are much more complicated.
Yeah, for me, and like I said, and I mentioned this to another person, and then we'll close with this because I do have to get going and get ready for some other things happening this weekend for me. For me to purchase any watch, from $50 to whatever, it has to be disposable income. In other words,
exactly, yes.
If I had $50 in my wallet and I lost it, it's not going to hurt me. If I had $1,000 in my wallet and I lost it, it's not going to hurt me. So disposable income for me is difficult because, like a good number,
have family, you have kids, of course.
A good number of people in the world, I do live paycheck to paycheck in most regards, I should say, and money that I do end up saving. Ends, if I save any, ends up getting put into the house. So perfect example, I saved up the $1,200 for Christopher Ward, which doesn't take me necessarily a super long time to do, but it's still something that I got to do. It's a few months, whatever. And the morning I pulled the trigger and went, click buy now, blah, 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 my hot water tank sprung a leak. Did you not? And the hot water tank was the exact same, almost,
to the dollar.
Yeah. So the Christopher Ward was, they gave me a nice discount because I had done some reviews for them, which was awesome. So I didn't pay full price, but by the time I paid the import fees and everything else, it was about $1,200. And my hot water tank was $11.97.
Well, there's two ways of looking at this, Chris.
The same day. Now, the thing that I will say is, had I said, you know what, I'll do this when I get home from work, because it was kind of like, had I waited to buy the Christopher Ward, I wouldn't have got it, because that money would have went right to my hot water tank.
This is what I was going to say, that there's two ways of looking at this. It's either very good that you bought it specifically that morning, or very bad.
Yeah. And it just happened that, whatever, I've always, found a way, and the Lord's provided well for us that, whenever something is needed, we, there was overtime, there was, whatever, we found a way to pay for it. But for me to have a $10,000 Breitling, or if I buy, and here's the thing, I would want to buy it new. I don't want to buy a used Breitling and get
exactly the same for me.
Get into a service issue within the first whatever. So $10,000 of disposable income is a lot of money for me.
Yeah,
it means I can spend it, and it's not going to hurt, or it's not going to be needed elsewhere. I can easily put $10,000 to upgrade my house.
Yeah, exactly. That's the issue. It's
take
hard.
On a vacation, honey, do you want to go to Hawaii, or can I buy this Breitling? And I know the answer to that question. So,
and let me guess, it's not the Breitling, right?
Exactly. So, at any rate, it's if you're able to do it, I don't have any envy or jealousy or anything. Anyone that is able to get something that they love, watch or otherwise, I'm very happy for them, and I'm delighted that you were able to get that Speedy.
Now that I'm not starving, I'm also delighted.
All right. Well, with that, Andrei, I just want to thank you so much for everything, for absolutely everything, for the friendship.
Thanks for having me on the show, Chris, and thank you for the awesome content, and thank you for the friendship.
Yeah. Ditto. Appreciate you, and we'll definitely have a conversation and do this again sometime. So thanks everybody for. I'm sure none of you have watched to the end. Very few people have.
Probably not.
And to watch for an hour and a half. But thank you for watching, and let me know what you guys think of Andrei's collection here. These are his 6 favorite, and obviously the Speedy is a classic. So thanks, Andrei, so much for highlighting these watches in the conversation. And guys, we'll see you in the next video.
Okay, see you, Chris.